Oh, I wrestled in high school.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't. I haven't wrestled since I went to Farmingdale, so for a very long
Hmm.
time. But I wrestled in high school, and there's a lot of disabled people that wrestle, like because that's a sport that you can do. Like a blind, like there's a lot of blind kids that wrestle and deaf kids and
Oh, no
stuff.
way.
Yeah, like there's a whole rules about it. If you're blind, you have to like start with your hands touching and stuff, and you can't lose contact. It's like a whole. There's a whole set of things just for it. But there was one day in particular where we wrestled a dual meet, right? So, which means that there was two meets. So like there was four teams there, and we wrestled two of those three teams that were there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And in my match, they didn't have somebody in my weight, their JV kid, up to wrestle me, and that kid, he was a freshman, I was a junior, and he was slow. He was he was like
He was
autistic.
on the spectrum.
Yeah, he was definitely autistic. He had like an aid and everything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I felt so bad wrestling him. And I'm not like a poor athlete, especially back then, that I literally almost just like lost. And
Oh,
eventually I had to
he
be.
was good.
No, he was good and everything like that. But like I just like felt so bad about it that
Yeah.
like it was a match that I should have won that I
Mentally.
almost lost, but I won.
Mentally.
And it was a whole thing. And then right after that, I wrestled a deaf kid, right? And that was a really tough match that I fought my heart out on. And I bled and sweat over and stuff, and I won. And he was a really poor sport about it. He didn't shake my hand. He threw his head here. He left, and it was lame. And then on the way home, and this is one thing that I appreciate. This is what I look for in people that I hang out with. Generally, on the way home, my coach is talking to me. He's like, "Oh, Scott, it's too bad you had to kick that kid's ass. You guys could have been friends because he wouldn't be able to hear you screaming at him."
Oh my god.
That's nice. Does this is just a stupid ignorant question. Does being deaf really like hinder you as a wrestler?
Well, okay, so like, well, I guess we're talking about this now, but so here's
Because you're just
okay. So for instance, when I wrestle, right, I heavily rely on my coaches. Okay, so some
they're,
people.
they're chanting at you while you're in the
So,
middle?
so they're like telling me what to do, right? Some people don't need it. Some people can function like on their own, but especially when I was first starting, like I'm just doing what the guy is telling me to do. You know what I mean? He's like, "Oh, hook this half Nelson. Oh, get this arm, set this up, do this,"
Yeah.
and you'll even see it with the deaf guy. When I was wrestling him, he had his translator sprinting his ass around. It was distracting, sprinting around the mat, diving like.
No way.
Doing
signing him and stuff, and it was like, oh shit, this dude's like an athlete. You know what I mean? Like it was crazy.
All right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
And he still won, so
yeah.
a win is a win is a
A
win.
lot of respect. A lot of respect. I don't how yeah, I don't know how you would be able to wrestle if you were deaf.
I mean,
I just
apart from
It's
being
like-
told
yeah,
the
just like you
coach,
said.
you're still like,
Yeah. Well, blind people do it. Like
that's
'cause-
even more impressive
well,
to me.
Well, here's the thing,
Genuinely.
right? So they have special rules about it, right? Like no one can see me doing this right now, but basically when you start the match, you have your right hand facing up and your left hand facing down, and the other guy does too, and you have to touch each other, right?
Yeah.
Because in wrestling, especially with I guess blind people, I'm not blind, so I could just totally be talking about my ass. But I guess that's enough for them to kind of tell like what you're doing and what your body's like, what the rest of your body's doing, just by like having hands on your arms. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So
they do get stronger senses to compensate for
yeah,
it.
yeah, and I mean, I guess it's just the the best solution. I mean, because think about it, right? It's like it's not like they can. I don't know if I'm a jerk here. It's not like they can like play like something like baseball where there's a projectile and they got to catch it, or like something like track where they have to run, and they have to know where they are. They're confined to
Yeah,
a
of
9-foot diameter mat with this guy, and you relatively know where they are, even if you can't necessarily see them. So it's probably the most accessible, I think.
Actually, yeah, that makes total
You know what I
sense to me. When you think about it, I mean, you only really need to be able to control your body and use your leverage
Yeah.
versus the other person. So actually, it makes more sense.
In wrestling, there's no such thing as running away, right? You're always going to be touching. No, because like think about it, like in boxing, if you're fighting a blind person, you could just like hang back and
So-
they wouldn't be able to like do anything.
So if you're wrestling a normal person, so like I said, the caveat here is you always have to be touching them. And if you break contact with them, then the ref blows a whistle, and it counts as the same as
Pin?
going out of bounds,
Oh, okay.
so to speak. So like you can't, like I said, you're confined to this mat, so you can't like run. Oh, you can kind of like avoid them and work away from them. But if you do it a lot, then you get called for stalling, and eventually that loses you points.
Yeah.
Right. And if you like, you can't just straight up go like like I said, you're in a ring. Like there's only so far you can get from the guy.
Yeah, but he's blind. He can't.
Yeah, but like I said,
Yeah, there
you're
are
literally
rules.
not allowed. I'm not allowed to let go of him. Where with another wrestler, I'd push him off of me, get an angle, and go back in. You know what I mean?
Punch
Where
him in the face, give him a concussion.
yeah, just like that.
All
I
right.
found an article here that says that wrestling is the one sport that I guess you could like it fits as many people as possible. You know,
Yeah.
like blind people,
All
deaf people.
inclusive.
There's an American champion from Kentucky. He has one leg. I forget his name, man.
No.
I got, I should
That
have.
is-
If I knew I was going to talk about this, I would have came here with more like
He can
more
Google
facts.
it. He can Google
Yeah,
it.
one leg. Well, it's actually kind of it's funny because in a weird way it's also an advantage because you have to remember there's weight classes
They
here.
can't grab it. Oh,
So like all of a sudden you have this dude that's like, let's say you have this dude that's 280 pounds and he's jacked.
But his
you lop
leg-
his leg off. That leg's 60 pounds. Now he's 220. You know what I
That's
mean?
Crazy. Yeah. His name is Anthony Robles.
Yeah.
2010 NCAA.
Hey, let me see him.
125 pound weight class.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's him. He's a fellow from Kentucky. He's really good.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
That is so cool.
it's wild.
Damn.
Anything's possible.
Yep.
Nah, I totally believe in that. That's cool. Have you? What other people with like disabilities have you seen that were able to wrestle
Let me
and
think.
like just kick ass at it?
There was a couple blind kids in it that were really good.
There was a deaf tennis player from Korea that reached like the top 200, and he's still playing. He's like a young guy. Duck Hee Lee,
He's deaf.
He's deaf. I don't remember if it's partial or complete, but he's deaf. And the craziest thing about him is his parents. I don't know if he knows sign language, but he relatively knows how to talk because his parents in his childhood were like mouthing words to him and trying to like make him emulate speech.
Yeah.
And like
Whoa.
honestly, that was really inspirational to me because it's just like how loving his parents were and how
Yeah, of
willing they
course.
were to try. And the fact that he's like top 200, like, yeah, he's not number one, but like it's still amazing.
He's one of the best tennis players in the world.
Yeah, to be like top 200 and you can't hear, because like tennis you can play deaf, but like the thing is they're like line calls and the score, like if you don't know if it's out or something, but like you can look at the umpire, like they can compensate for that, but still it's like it's kind of weird. Like imagine playing tennis or doing anything and not hearing a thing.
Dude, he was at his highest 130.
Yeah,
Which, I mean,
he's amazing.
many people they couldn't even come close to that.
They spend
in
10
their lives.
years and they can barely crack top 500.
Yeah, tennis is such a hard sport to go pro in.
Yeah.
Well, we've already had our takes on
Ethan
that.
knows. Ethan knows that.